The tech billionaire Elon Musk, as we've been reporting, has finalised a deal now to buy social media giant Twitter for 61.3 billion Australian dollars. Let's bring in live now Chris Griffith. He's the technology reporter at the Australian newspaper. Chris, appreciate your time. Thank you. What changes are you expecting Elon Musk will usher in at Twitter?
I think you're on the money in terms of the big interest is what he will do with Twitter, which, of course, millions and millions of people around the world use. I mean, on the finance side, 5.66% rise in Twitter shares is significant, but it's not stratospheric. It's really, I think, major interest around what he will do with the platform, particularly on the issue of moderation. He has this view that Twitter over-moderates. He wants softer content moderation. He wants people not banned from the platform, but rather sin-binned, given time out. And that in itself is brought up some interesting questions. One is Donald Trump, and I see Donald Trump already has indicated or ruled out that he would return to Twitter, but you never know if circumstances change or that his view on that, and what Musk's view on that will be incredibly interesting. Another is Ukraine and Russia. Is his kind of self-described label as a free speech absolutionist going to mean that he'll allow some of the propaganda, if you like, coming out of Russia during the war here in Ukraine to go unchecked on the platform? So he's going to have those tests right from scratch. But there are other things as well. And, of course, it's a big issue for Musk personally because he's several times, or in fact continually running into a ground with Twitter over some of the things he's done. And even just the last weekend, he deleted some tweets critical of Twitter. And he's had serious problems with the regulators when he's made tweets about Tesla going private a couple of years back. And, of course, when he made those pretty nasty comments in 2018 against the rescuers of those kids in Thailand when they didn't take up his offer of a submarine, you might remember. So he's had a really difficult time with Twitter, and a lot of what he's withdrawn has been regarded as inappropriate by a lot of people over that time. On other issues, he wants to rein in the bots, which I think people would welcome, and the scams associated with it. He wants to kind of have less advertising on the platform and have more of its revenue around subscriptions. An edit button, and which Twitter's implementing anyway, but you can guess why Musk would probably want that. And also more transparency around the algorithms so people can have a better idea of how Twitter works. But I think there's going to be quite a deal of controversy because he believes in this idea of unfettered free speech. We all believe in free speech, but we also see a responsibility to what we say. And, I'd say how he deals with Russia and Ukraine will be a test of what he actually means by free speech.
So, Chris, what about the impact that this is likely to have on some of Twitter's biggest competitors? I'm thinking here of Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. How will it change the landscape?
Frankly, I don't know if it'll change the landscape in that regard because Twitter has really carved out its own niche in many ways. I mean, each of them have their strengths. I mean, Facebook as a personal platform and for organisations and businesses and so on in their own way. Instagram, kind of a more photographic type of led social media platform. But Twitter is, a huge news feed. It's huge amongst us in journalism. And I kind of think it's really carved out more of a presence among people in the information business and commentary. But I don't see his change of leadership really changing the composition of the consumers using it so much.
And Chris, you mentioned that subscription might be one way forward, and we know that Elon Musk has talked about wanting to authenticate all real humans. Is that the way that he's likely to do that, to make everyone subscribe, or is it assumed that there'll be different tiers? What's the thinking?
Actually, I don't think it would go that far. I think they'll. Twitter's already talked about, and has various subscription type models that you'd get. I guess no advertising. Maybe the way to have those dual aims realised is not to. Is to charge a subscription that means that you don't get ads on the platform among your feed. Again, I think subscription will be a voluntary thing that people pay for. If he was to make it compulsory, there'd be, 50, 60% of people, even more on Twitter, would probably leave the platform. They just wouldn't be bothered wanting to pay for it. So I don't see it being compulsory, no.
Chris Griffiths, always appreciate you making the time to speak with us. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.